Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night, completely frozen, unable to move or scream, sensing a presence in your room that you couldn't explain? What if that terrifying moment wasn't just a glitch in your brain, but an actual doorway to another dimension? Sleep paralysis has been dismissed by science as nothing more than a neurological hiccup. But what they're not telling you is that this phenomenon might be one of the most profound spiritual experiences you'll ever have. Tonight, you're going to discover why Dolores Cannon and countless spiritual teachers believe that sleep paralysis isn't something to fear, but rather an invitation from the universe itself. What you're about to learn will completely change the way you see those frozen moments between sleep and waking. And it might just be the key to unlocking abilities you never knew you had. Before we dive deeper into this mystery, if you're serious about expanding your consciousness and exploring the supernatural phenomena that science refuses to acknowledge, you absolutely need to subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. These topics are often suppressed, shadow banned, and pushed aside by algorithms that don't want you to wake up to your true potential. Your subscription isn't just a click. It's a statement that you're ready to embrace the truth about spiritual awakening and consciousness expansion. We're building a community of seekers who refuse to accept the mainstream narrative, and we need you here with us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button right now, because what's coming next will blow your mind, and you won't want to miss a single revelation we share on this channel. So what exactly is sleep paralysis when we look at it through a spiritual lens? Well, it's not the simple explanation that doctors and neurologists want you to believe. According to mainstream medicine, sleep paralysis is just a disconnect between your mind waking up and your body still being in REM sleep, causing temporary paralysis and sometimes hallucinations. But that's where the conventional explanation falls short, because it completely ignores the profound spiritual dimension of what's actually happening to you in those moments. From a spirituality perspective, sleep paralysis represents a threshold state, a sacred liminal space where your consciousness exists simultaneously in multiple dimensions. Think about it this way. You're not fully in the physical world anymore, but you haven't completely entered the dream realm either. You're caught in between, and that in-between space is incredibly powerful. It's like standing at the edge of two worlds, with one foot in the material reality you know, and the other foot stepping into something far more expansive and mysterious. Dolores Cannon, one of the most respected voices in past life regression and hypnotherapy, spent decades researching altered states of consciousness, and she consistently pointed to these threshold experiences as moments when the veil between dimensions becomes incredibly thin. She believed that during sleep paralysis, your soul isn't stuck or trapped at all. Instead, it's actually transitioning, moving between frequencies, and sometimes that transition becomes conscious. You're witnessing something that usually happens automatically and unconsciously every single night, but now you're aware of it, and that awareness changes everything. When you experience sleep paralysis, your physical body is essentially locked down for a reason. Your consciousness is preparing to travel, to expand beyond the limitations of your flesh and bones. Ancient spiritual traditions from around the world have recognized this state for thousands of years. Shamans called it the gateway to the spirit world. Yogis recognized it as a stage in achieving higher states of meditation. Mystics throughout history have documented similar experiences where the body becomes immobile while the spirit becomes incredibly active and free. What you're feeling during sleep paralysis isn't your enemy. It's actually your spiritual body beginning to separate from your physical form, and that process requires your physical body to remain still and protected. Imagine if your body started moving around while your consciousness was halfway out exploring other realms. That disconnection could be jarring and potentially dangerous. So your body has this built-in safety mechanism that keeps you immobilized until your awareness fully returns or fully departs. The sensations you experience, the presence you feel, the sounds you hear, They're not hallucinations in the way science describes them. They're perceptions of energies, entities, and dimensions that exist beyond the narrow bandwidth of normal waking consciousness. Your third eye is opening, your extrasensory perception is activating, and you're picking up on frequencies and presences that most people never consciously encounter because they're too deeply asleep or too completely awake to access that in-between state. Dolores Cannon would often explain that fear is what keeps most people from truly understanding these experiences. When you approach sleep paralysis with terror, you close yourself off from the incredible spiritual information that's available in that state. But when you approach it with curiosity and openness, when you recognize it as a spiritual awakening rather than a nightmare, everything shifts. You begin to realize that this isn't happening to you randomly. It's happening for you, as part of your soul's journey and evolution. Many spiritual teachers and practitioners who work with consciousness expansion will tell you that sleep paralysis is actually a gift, though it certainly doesn't feel that way when you're in the middle of it, especially the first few times. It's like being handed a key to a door you didn't even know existed. Most people spend their entire lives never becoming conscious during these transitional states. But you've been given this opportunity to witness the mechanics of consciousness itself, to see how your awareness can exist independent of your physical body. The spiritual perspective on sleep paralysis also connects deeply to the concept of astral projection and out-of-body experiences, which we'll explore in much greater detail later. But for now, understand that what you're experiencing isn't a malfunction. It's not your brain playing tricks on you. It's your spirit becoming aware of its own nature, its own ability to transcend the physical form. And that awareness is the beginning of something profound. You're not broken. You're not cursed. You're awakening, and sleep paralysis is one of the ways the universe shows you that you're so much more than just this physical body. Throughout history, people who've had these experiences and understood their spiritual significance have gone on to become healers, shamans, psychics, and spiritual guides. They recognized that sleep paralysis was an initiation, a calling from the universe to explore the deeper mysteries of existence. You wouldn't be watching this video right now if some part of you didn't already sense that there's something more going on, something beyond the materialistic explanation that mainstream culture wants to force-feed you. But here's what almost nobody talks about, and this is where things get really interesting. In a moment, you're going to discover something that changes everything. What if I told you that sleep paralysis isn't just a strange phenomenon, but an actual portal, a doorway that opens directly into other planes of existence? This isn't metaphorical language or poetic exaggeration. According to advanced spiritual teachings and the research conducted by pioneers like Dolores Cannon, sleep paralysis represents one of the most accessible entry points into dimensions that exist parallel to our physical reality. Dimensions that are always there, but usually remain hidden from our ordinary perception. Think about how portals work in mythology and spiritual traditions across every culture. They're threshold spaces, places where the normal rules don't apply, where you can slip from one reality into another. Sleep paralysis functions exactly like this. During those frozen moments, you're standing at the threshold, and depending on your level of awareness, fear, and spiritual preparation, you can either slam that door shut in terror or step through it into realms of incredible beauty, wisdom, and transformation. The reason sleep paralysis works as a portal is because of what's happening to your consciousness during that state. Your brain waves are shifting into frequencies that don't normally occur when you're awake. You're producing theta waves, the same frequencies that experienced meditators spend years trying to achieve, the same frequencies that allow shamans to journey into the spirit world, the same frequencies that open the door to astral travel and communication with higher dimensional beings. You're literally vibrating at a different frequency, and that vibrational shift is what allows you to perceive and access other planes. Dolores Cannon spent decades working with thousands of clients in deep trance states, and through her past life regression work, she discovered that consciousness isn't limited to our physical bodies or even to our current lifetime. She found that we exist simultaneously across multiple dimensions and that our awareness can shift between these dimensions under certain conditions. Sleep paralysis is one of those conditions, one of those rare moments when the dimensional barriers become permeable and crossable. When you're experiencing sleep paralysis, you might sense presences in the room, see shadowy figures, hear strange sounds, or feel like you're being watched or even touched. Mainstream science dismisses these as hypnagogic hallucinations, but spiritual practitioners recognize them as genuine perceptions of entities and energies that exist in dimensions adjacent to our own. You're not imagining these things. You're perceiving them because your consciousness has temporarily gained access to frequencies beyond the normal visible spectrum of reality. Different spiritual traditions have different names for these other planes. Some call them the astral plane, the etheric realm, or the spirit world. Others refer to them as higher dimensions or parallel realities. But regardless of the terminology, they all agree on one fundamental truth. These planes exist. They're populated with various forms of consciousness, and sleep paralysis is one of the natural gateways that can take you there. The portal nature of sleep paralysis explains why so many people report similar experiences across different cultures and time periods. They describe feeling a presence, often malevolent or frightening. They talk about pressure on their chest, difficulty breathing, seeing shadow beings or light entities, hearing voices or strange sounds, and feeling vibrations running through their body. These aren't random hallucinations. They're consistent experiences because people are accessing the same dimensional spaces and encountering similar types of entities and energies that exist in those spaces. But here's what's crucial to understand. The nature of what you encounter when you pass through this portal depends largely on your own vibrational frequency and emotional state. Fear attracts lower vibrational entities, beings that feed on that fear energy. Love, curiosity, and spiritual openness attract higher vibrational beings, guides, and teachers who want to help you on your journey. Dolores Cannon discovered through her research that we're never truly alone in these experiences. There are always guides and protective presences around us, but fear can blind us to their help and make us focus only on the frightening aspects. The portal of sleep paralysis also connects directly to the phenomenon of astral projection. Many experienced astral travelers report that they first discovered their ability to leave their body during episodes of sleep paralysis. The immobilization of the physical body, combined with the heightened awareness and the vibrational shift, creates perfect conditions for the consciousness to separate from the physical form and explore other dimensions freely. It's like the universe is saying, your body is safe and still. Now your spirit is free to roam. What makes sleep paralysis such a powerful portal is that it happens spontaneously. You don't need years of meditation training or special techniques or expensive workshops. The portal opens naturally, usually when your consciousness is ready for expansion, when your soul has reached a point in its evolution where it needs to access information, healing, or experiences that can only be found in these other dimensions. It's an organic part of your spiritual awakening, not something external being imposed on you. Ancient mystery schools and esoteric traditions actually had practices designed to induce states similar to sleep paralysis because they understood its value as a portal. Initiates would undergo specific breathing techniques, sensory deprivation, or ritual practices that would create that threshold state where the physical body became still while consciousness remained active and expansible. What you're experiencing naturally, they worked hard to achieve because they knew that stepping through that portal was essential for spiritual advancement and accessing hidden knowledge. The other planes you can access through sleep paralysis contain information, teachings, and experiences that simply aren't available in ordinary physical reality. You might encounter spiritual guides who offer wisdom about your life path. You might connect with your higher self and receive downloads of information about your soul's purpose. You might visit healing temples where energetic work is done on your spiritual body. You might even connect with other souls, including those who've passed on from physical life, and receive messages or closure that brings peace to your waking life. Dolores Cannon's work revealed that many people who experience sleep paralysis are actually being prepared for specific spiritual missions or tasks. The portal opens because there's something on the other side that you need to see, learn, or experience. It might be uncomfortable and frightening at first, but that's often because we resist what we don't understand. Once you recognize sleep paralysis as a portal and not a prison, once you understand that it's offering you access rather than trapping you in fear, everything changes. Some spiritual practitioners have learned to intentionally trigger sleep paralysis as a launching point for astral projection and exploration of other dimensions. They'll set intentions before sleep, use specific visualization techniques, or even position their body in ways that increase the likelihood of experiencing that threshold state. They've transformed what most people fear into a tool for consciousness expansion and spiritual exploration. They've learned to walk through the portal with confidence, knowing that incredible experiences and teachings await them on the other side. The key to using sleep paralysis as a portal effectively is releasing fear and embracing curiosity. When you feel that familiar sensation of paralysis beginning, instead of fighting it or panicking, you can choose to relax into it, to observe it with interest, and to set an intention for where you'd like your consciousness to travel. You can call on your spiritual guides for protection and assistance. You can visualize yourself surrounded by white light. You can mentally affirm that you're safe and that this experience is for your highest good. These simple shifts in perspective and approach can transform a terrifying episode into a profound spiritual journey. But there exists a detail that almost no one dares to talk about, something that will reveal why certain people experience this portal more frequently than others. Each episode of sleep paralysis you experience isn't random chaos or unfortunate bad luck. These episodes are actually carefully orchestrated opportunities for your consciousness to access dimensions that vibrate at frequencies far higher than our dense physical reality. These aren't just other places. They're higher states of existence where wisdom, healing, and profound transformation are available to those who know how to navigate them properly. When we talk about higher dimensions, we're not referring to science fiction concepts or abstract philosophical ideas. We're talking about actual planes of existence that operate according to different laws than the physical world, you know. In these dimensions, thought manifests instantly. Time doesn't flow linearly, and consciousness isn't bound by physical form. Dolores Cannon documented countless cases of individuals who accessed these higher dimensions during altered states of consciousness, and their descriptions remained remarkably consistent across different cultures, backgrounds, and belief systems. The reason sleep paralysis provides such direct access to these higher dimensions is because it creates a unique state where your physical body is completely at rest while your consciousness remains alert and active. This combination is extraordinarily rare in normal waking life. Usually, when you're conscious, your body is also active and engaged with the physical world, which keeps your awareness anchored firmly in this dimension. During sleep, your body rests, but your consciousness typically becomes unfocused and dream-scattered. Sleep paralysis gives you the best of both worlds: physical stillness with conscious awareness. And that's the perfect launching pad for dimensional travel. Think about what happens during an episode. Your body becomes immobilized, which actually serves as a protective mechanism. If your consciousness is going to travel to higher dimensions, your physical form needs to remain safe and still. Imagine if your body started moving around while your awareness was exploring the fifth or sixth dimension. The disconnect would be jarring and potentially dangerous. So your body locks down, creating a safe container while your spirit ventures out into realms that most people never consciously experience. These higher dimensions exist at elevated vibrational frequencies, and accessing them requires your own frequency to rise accordingly. During sleep paralysis, your brainwave patterns shift dramatically. You're producing frequencies that bridge the gap between physical consciousness and spiritual awareness. Your pineal gland, often called the third eye, becomes activated and starts functioning as a dimensional antenna, picking up signals and information from these higher planes. This is why so many people report seeing lights, geometric patterns, or experiencing profound visual phenomena during sleep paralysis. You're literally seeing the architecture of higher dimensional reality. Dolores Cannon's extensive research into consciousness expansion revealed that these higher dimensions are populated by beings of incredible wisdom and compassion. She encountered countless reports of individuals meeting guides, teachers, councils of enlightened beings, and even aspects of their own higher selves during these dimensional journeys. These beings exist specifically to help humanity evolve spiritually, and they're always looking for individuals whose consciousness has expanded enough to receive their teachings and guidance. What makes sleep paralysis such a valuable opportunity is that it bypasses the usual obstacles that prevent dimensional access. When you try to meditate your way into higher dimensions, your logical mind often interferes, questioning and doubting every experience. When you attempt shamanic journeying or other intentional practices, there's often struggle and effort involved. But sleep paralysis happens spontaneously, catching your ego off guard and allowing your true spiritual essence to shine through without all the mental interference that normally blocks these experiences. The higher dimensions you can access during sleep paralysis contain information that can radically transform your life. People have received solutions to problems that seemed unsolvable in physical reality. They've gained insights into their life purpose and soul mission. They've accessed memories from past lives that explain current life challenges and relationships. They've received healing energy that resolved physical ailments and emotional traumas. All of this becomes possible when your consciousness elevates into these higher vibrational spaces. Each dimension has its own characteristics and inhabitants. The lower astral planes, which are closest to physical reality, can sometimes feel heavy or uncomfortable because they're populated by entities that haven't yet evolved beyond fear and negativity. But as you learn to raise your vibration during sleep paralysis, you can access progressively higher dimensions where the energy becomes lighter, brighter, and filled with unconditional love. Dolores Cannon often spoke about what she called the upper realms, dimensions so refined and beautiful that human language struggles to adequately describe them. The opportunity that sleep paralysis presents isn't just about having interesting experiences or satisfying curiosity. It's about spiritual awakening and evolution. Each time you consciously navigate an episode and access higher dimensions, you're downloading codes, frequencies, and information that upgrade your entire energetic system. You're quite literally becoming a bridge between the physical and spiritual worlds. And that bridge building is essential work for humanity's collective evolution right now. Many spiritual teachers believe we're living in a time of massive consciousness shift on this planet, and experiences like sleep paralysis are increasing in frequency because more people are ready for dimensional access. The universe is essentially saying, it's time to wake up and remember who you really are. Those higher dimensions contain the truth of your multidimensional nature, the reality that you're not just this physical body living one linear lifetime, but an eternal soul having countless experiences across multiple dimensions simultaneously. When you approach sleep paralysis as an opportunity rather than an affliction, when you consciously set intentions to access the highest possible dimensions during these episodes, you're actively participating in your own spiritual awakening. You're choosing evolution over fear, expansion over contraction, and truth over the limiting beliefs that keep most of humanity trapped in purely physical consciousness. This is powerful stuff, and it's available to you every single time sleep paralysis occurs. The beings you might encounter in these higher dimensions aren't there to frighten or harm you. Yes, if you vibrate at a frequency of fear, you'll attract lower vibrational entities that match that frequency. But when you approach these experiences with love, trust, and spiritual intention, you'll meet guides who've been waiting to connect with you, teachers who have profound wisdom to share, and aspects of your own higher self that can show you the bigger picture of your soul's journey across time and space. Dolores Cannon emphasized repeatedly in her work that we're never given experiences we can't handle. If you're having sleep paralysis episodes, it means your soul is ready for dimensional exploration. It means your consciousness has expanded enough to safely navigate these higher planes. Trust that process. Trust that there's divine intelligence orchestrating these opportunities for your growth and awakening. The universe doesn't make mistakes, and your episodes of sleep paralysis are invitations, not punishments. Some people experience these episodes more frequently than others, and that's often because their soul has specific work to do that requires regular access to higher dimensional information and energy. They might be healers who need to receive healing frequencies to transmit to others. They might be teachers who need to download information to share with humanity. They might be wayshowers who are pioneering new pathways of consciousness expansion that others will follow. If you're experiencing sleep paralysis regularly, consider what spiritual work you might be being prepared for. The practical implications of understanding sleep paralysis as dimensional access are enormous. Instead of dreading these episodes, you can actually look forward to them as opportunities for growth, healing, and spiritual adventure. You can prepare yourself before sleep by setting intentions, asking your guides for assistance, and affirming your readiness to access the highest dimensions available to you. You can keep a journal by your bed to record insights and experiences immediately upon waking, because dimensional information often fades quickly once you're back in normal waking consciousness. Coming up next, we'll explore the energetic mechanics of what's actually happening to your consciousness during sleep, and you'll discover why your subconscious plays such a crucial role in these dimensional journeys. Every single night when you fall asleep, something absolutely extraordinary happens that most people never become aware of. Your consciousness doesn't just shut down or go blank. Instead, it undergoes a profound energetic transformation, shifting frequencies and expanding beyond the confines of your physical body. Understanding what's really happening to your energy and consciousness during sleep will completely change how you view sleep paralysis and why these experiences are so significant for your spiritual awakening. Dolores Cannon spent decades exploring the mysteries of consciousness through her groundbreaking hypnotherapy work. And one of her most important discoveries was that consciousness operates on multiple levels simultaneously. She identified what she called the subconscious, though she clarified that this wasn't the Freudian subconscious that psychology talks about. Rather, it's the higher self, the part of you that's connected to all knowledge, all dimensions, and all lifetimes. This aspect of your consciousness never sleeps, never rests, and is always actively engaged in spiritual work, even when your physical awareness is completely offline. When you transition into sleep, your conscious mind, the part of you that thinks, analyzes, and navigates daily life, begins to quiet down. Your brainwaves shift from the beta frequencies of normal waking consciousness down through alpha, and eventually into theta and delta waves. These slower frequencies are absolutely crucial because they allow your consciousness to detach from its rigid focus on physical reality and become fluid, expansible, and capable of traveling to other dimensions and states of being. But here's what most people don't realize. This transition isn't always smooth or unconscious. Sometimes your awareness catches the process happening, and that's exactly what sleep paralysis is. You're becoming conscious during a phase of sleep when your body has already triggered its paralysis mechanism, but your mind hasn't fully transitioned into the dream state yet. You're stuck in between, and that in-between space is where the magic happens, where you can observe the energetic mechanics of consciousness itself. During this threshold state, your energy body, sometimes called your astral body or light body, begins to separate from your physical form. Think of your physical body as a dense vehicle made of matter, and your energy body as a lighter, more refined vehicle made of pure consciousness and light. Every night, your energy body naturally pulls away from your physical body to some degree, allowing it to recharge, heal, and travel to other dimensions where it can access information and experiences that aren't available in the physical realm. Dolores Cannon discovered through her research that during sleep, our consciousness travels extensively. We visit what she called the life between lives spaces, dimensions where souls plan their incarnations, review their progress, and connect with guides and soul groups. We access the Akashic records, the universal library that contains all knowledge and all experiences across all time. We participate in healing work, both receiving healing for ourselves and sometimes even assisting in healing others. We attend what some traditions call night schools, where advanced spiritual beings teach us lessons that our waking mind might not be ready to consciously process yet. The role of your subconscious or higher self in all of this cannot be overstated. This aspect of your consciousness is the one orchestrating these nightly journeys. It knows exactly what you need for your spiritual evolution, what healing needs to occur, what information you need to access, and which dimensions will best serve your growth at any given time. Your conscious mind might be asleep and unaware, but your subconscious is always awake, always active, always guiding you through these multidimensional experiences. Sleep paralysis occurs when your subconscious determines that it's time for your conscious awareness to witness some of this process. Maybe there's a lesson you need to learn that requires conscious participation. Maybe you've reached a level of spiritual development where you're ready to start actively engaging with these other dimensions rather than just passively experiencing them in unconscious dream states. Maybe there's specific work you need to do that requires you to be aware during the transition between dimensions. The energy you feel during sleep paralysis, those vibrations that many people report, those electrical sensations running through your body, that's your energy body in motion. It's either preparing to fully separate from your physical body for astral projection, or it's in the process of returning and reintegrating. These vibrations aren't random or meaningless. They're the actual frequency signature of your consciousness shifting between dimensional states. Advanced astral travelers recognize these vibrations as a sign that they're about to have an out-of-body experience, and instead of fighting them, they relax into them and use them as a launching point for conscious exploration. Your subconscious also plays a protective role during these transitions. It's constantly monitoring your safety, ensuring that your physical body remains secure while your consciousness explores other realms. This is why sleep paralysis includes that immobilization mechanism. Your subconscious has essentially put your body into lockdown mode to protect it while your energy body is either partially or fully detached. It's the same reason you don't physically act out your dreams and hurt yourself. There's an intelligent system in place keeping your physical form safe while your consciousness roams free. Dolores Cannon also discovered that the subconscious never does anything without purpose. Every experience, including sleep paralysis, is intentionally created for your benefit and growth. Your subconscious knows your soul's plan, your life purpose, and exactly what experiences you need to evolve spiritually. So when sleep paralysis happens, it's not an accident or a malfunction. It's a deliberate experience orchestrated by the wisest part of yourself to teach you something, show you something, or prepare you for something important. The energetic shifts that occur during sleep paralysis also explain why so many people report feeling different after these experiences. Even if the episode was frightening and you don't remember any positive aspects, something has shifted in your energy field. Your consciousness has been exposed to frequencies and information from other dimensions, and that exposure changes you at a subtle but profound level. You might find yourself suddenly interested in spirituality when you never were before. You might develop intuitive abilities or heightened sensitivity. You might start having lucid dreams or remembering your regular dreams more vividly. These are all signs that your consciousness is expanding and evolving. The relationship between energy and consciousness during sleep is also deeply connected to the concept of consciousness expansion. Every time you have an experience that takes you beyond your normal state of awareness, whether through meditation, plant medicine, breathwork, or sleep paralysis, you're expanding the capacity of your consciousness. You're essentially stretching it, making it bigger and more capable of holding higher frequencies and accessing greater wisdom. Your subconscious uses sleep as a nightly opportunity for this expansion work, and sleep paralysis is one of the ways it brings that work into your conscious awareness. Dolores Cannon taught that we're all capable of accessing the full spectrum of consciousness, from the densest physical awareness to the highest spiritual frequencies. But most people never realize this because they identify only with their conscious mind and their physical body. They don't recognize that they're multidimensional beings with energy bodies that can travel, with subconscious minds that hold infinite wisdom, and with the natural ability to navigate multiple dimensions simultaneously. Sleep paralysis shatters that limited identification and forces you to confront the reality of your own multidimensional nature. The energy work that happens during these episodes is also preparatory in nature. If you're meant to develop abilities like astral projection, lucid dreams, or extraterrestrial contact, your subconscious might use sleep paralysis to gradually acclimate your system to the energetic shifts required for these experiences. Think of it like spiritual training. You wouldn't try to run a marathon without building up your endurance first, right? Similarly, your subconscious uses episodes to build your capacity to consciously navigate altered states without becoming overwhelmed or frightened. Understanding the energetic and consciousness dynamics of sleep also helps you work more intentionally with sleep paralysis when it occurs. Before sleep, you can communicate with your subconscious, asking for protection, guidance, and clear experiences. You can affirm your willingness to learn and grow through whatever happens during the night. You can set intentions for where you'd like your consciousness to travel and what information you'd like to receive. Your subconscious listens to these intentions and works with them, creating experiences that align with your stated desires for growth and spiritual awakening. The transition and expansion that Dolores Cannon described isn't just theoretical. It's happening to you every single night, and sleep paralysis is your opportunity to become a conscious participant in this process rather than an unconscious passenger. When you understand that your energy is shifting, your consciousness is expanding, and your subconscious is orchestrating all of it for your highest good, fear naturally dissolves and curiosity takes its place. You begin to see these episodes not as something happening to you, but as something happening for you, facilitated by the wisest part of yourself. Next, you'll discover the profound truth about the beings and presences that so many people encounter during these experiences. One of the most common and often terrifying aspects of sleep paralysis is sensing a presence in your room. You feel like you're not alone, like something or someone is watching you, standing near your bed, or even touching you. For most people, this sensation triggers immediate panic and becomes the most frightening part of the entire experience. But what if I told you that these presences aren't what you think they are? And that understanding who's really there could transform your entire relationship with sleep paralysis. The truth is, you're never alone during sleep paralysis. But before you let that statement frighten you, understand this. The beings present during these episodes aren't random entities or malevolent demons. According to Dolores Cannon and countless other spiritual researchers, These are often your spiritual guides, protective beings, and sometimes even aspects of your own higher consciousness trying to communicate with you. The problem isn't their presence. It's your perception of their presence, filtered through in nighttime fears that have been programmed into you by horror movies and cultural misconceptions about supernatural phenomena. Think about what happens when you encounter sleep paralysis. You're in a vulnerable state, unable to move, caught between dimensions, and your logical mind immediately goes to the worst-case scenario, because that's what it's been trained to do. You've been conditioned by society to fear the unknown, to assume that anything beyond normal physical reality must be dangerous or evil. So when you sense a presence during sleep paralysis, your mind instantly interprets it as a threat, and that interpretation colors everything about how you experience the encounter. But spiritual guides and protective beings are actually always around you, not just during sleep paralysis. Every single person has spiritual guides, sometimes called guardian angels, spirit guides, or protective ancestors, who watch over them throughout their entire life. These beings exist at higher vibrational frequencies, which is why you can't normally see or sense them with your physical senses. However, during sleep paralysis, when your consciousness has shifted into that threshold state between dimensions, the veil becomes thin enough that you can finally perceive their presence. Dolores Cannon's extensive research revealed that these guides are incredibly loving and benevolent beings who volunteered to assist humanity's spiritual awakening. They don't have physical bodies, but they can appear in forms that we can comprehend, sometimes as beings of light, sometimes taking on humanoid appearances, and sometimes remaining as pure energy or presence. Their entire purpose is to help you navigate your life path, to protect you from harm, and to gently nudge you toward experiences and realizations that will facilitate your soul's growth and evolution. During sleep paralysis, these guides might come closer than usual because they know you're in a state where communication is actually possible. They might be trying to give you a message, show you something important, or simply make their presence known so you understand you're not navigating this life alone. Unfortunately, most people panic at the first sensation of a presence and slam the door shut on what could have been a profound and reassuring encounter with beings who genuinely love and care for them. The interpretation you give to these presences matters enormously. If you perceive them through the lens of fear, believing they're there to harm you, you'll experience them as frightening and threatening. But if you shift your perception and recognize them as protective guides who are there to help you, the entire energy of the encounter transforms. This isn't just positive thinking or denial of real danger. It's understanding the true nature of what's happening and allowing that understanding to override conditioned fear responses. Some people during sleep paralysis report seeing shadow figures, and these often get interpreted as malevolent entities. But even shadow figures aren't necessarily negative. Sometimes spiritual guides appear in shadow form because that's easier for our limited perception to process than their true light nature, which can be overwhelmingly bright and intense. Other times, shadow figures might be aspects of our own consciousness, parts of ourselves that we've rejected or suppressed, appearing to be integrated and healed. Not everything that seems dark is actually dangerous or evil. That said, lower vibrational entities do exist in the astral planes, and it's possible to encounter them during sleep paralysis, especially if you're vibrating at a frequency of fear, anger, or negativity. These entities aren't demons in the religious sense, but they are beings that haven't evolved spiritually and that feed on fear energy. This is why your emotional state and vibrational frequency during sleep paralysis is so important. When you approach the experience with love, light, and spiritual protection, you naturally repel lower vibrational beings and attract higher vibrational guides instead. Dolores Cannon taught specific techniques for protection during these threshold experiences. Visualizing yourself surrounded by white light, calling on your spiritual guides explicitly by asking for their help and protection, and affirming that only beings of the highest good are allowed in your space creates an energetic barrier that lower entities cannot penetrate. These aren't just mental exercises or superstitions. They're real energetic tools that shift your frequency and determine what kind of beings can interact with you. Many people who've moved past their initial fear of sleep paralysis and learned to welcome these encounters report having profound experiences with spiritual guides during these episodes. They've received guidance about life decisions, gained clarity about their soul's purpose, received healing energy that resolved physical or emotional issues, and even been given glimpses of their past lives to help them understand current life patterns and relationships. All of this becomes possible when you stop fighting the presence of these beings and start engaging with them consciously and intentionally. Some of the beings present during sleep paralysis might not be guides in the traditional sense, but rather other souls who are also traveling in the astral planes during their own sleep. The astral realm is populated by countless consciousness explorers, and sometimes paths cross during these nighttime journeys. These encounters are usually brief and harmless, though they can feel strange or unexpected if you're not familiar with the dynamics of dimensional travel and astral projection. There are also cases where the beings present during sleep paralysis are related to extraterrestrial contact. Dolores Cannon documented numerous instances of individuals encountering non-human intelligences during altered states of consciousness. These beings, often described as tall, luminous, or having unusual physical characteristics, sometimes use the threshold state of sleep paralysis to make contact with humans whose consciousness has expanded enough to perceive them. We'll explore this phenomenon in much greater detail in an upcoming section. But for now, understand that not all presences during sleep paralysis are Earth-based spiritual guides. Some are visitors from other star systems and dimensions. The key to having positive encounters with spiritual beings during sleep paralysis is shifting from fear to curiosity, from resistance to acceptance. When you feel that presence, instead of panicking, try mentally communicating with it. Ask who they are, why they're there, and what message they have for you. You might be surprised to receive actual responses, either as thoughts that appear in your mind, as feelings or knowings, or sometimes even as actual voices or visions. These beings want to communicate with you. They've been waiting for you to become conscious enough during these threshold states to actually engage in dialogue. Dolores Cannon emphasized repeatedly that spiritual guides respect free will absolutely. They cannot and will not force themselves on you or override your choices. If you genuinely don't want contact with them during sleep paralysis, if you ask them to leave or to wait until you're more prepared, they will honor that request. But if you open yourself to their presence, if you invite them to show themselves and communicate with you, they will gladly accept that invitation and work with you in ways that are gentle, loving, and perfectly calibrated to what you can handle. Understanding that spiritual guides and protective beings are present during sleep paralysis completely reframes the experience. Instead of feeling alone and vulnerable, you realize you're actually surrounded by loving support. Instead of feeling attacked or threatened, you understand that you're being visited by beings who genuinely care about your well-being and spiritual evolution. This shift in understanding doesn't happen overnight, especially if you've had frightening experiences in the past, but it is possible, and it's worth the effort because it opens the door to relationships with spiritual guides that can enrich every aspect of your life, not just your experiences during sleep paralysis. In the next section, we'll explore the specific physical and energetic sensations that accompany these encounters, and you'll learn why your body responds the way it does during these profound spiritual experiences. If you've been through sleep paralysis, you know the sensations are unlike anything else you've ever experienced. The complete inability to move, the crushing weight on your chest that makes it hard to breathe, the buzzing or vibrating sensations coursing through your body. The feeling of floating or sinking, sometimes even the sensation of being touched or pulled. These aren't random symptoms or meaningless side effects. Each one of these sensations carries profound spiritual significance and tells a story about what's happening to your consciousness and energy body during these episodes. Let's start with the most obvious and frightening symptom, the complete immobilization. You cannot move a single muscle, no matter how hard you try. You can't speak, can't scream, can't even wiggle your fingers or toes. For most people, this paralysis triggers immediate panic because we're hardwired to associate immobility with danger and vulnerability. But from a spiritual perspective, this immobilization isn't a trap or a curse. It's actually a safety mechanism that's protecting both your physical body and your energetic body during a delicate transitional process. When your consciousness begins to separate from your physical body, which is what's happening during sleep paralysis, and particularly during astral projection, your physical form needs to remain absolutely still. Think about it logically. If your body started moving around while your consciousness was partially or fully detached, the disconnect could cause serious problems. The immobilization ensures that your physical vehicle stays safe and stationary, while your spiritual essence does its work in other dimensions. Dolores Cannon often explained this as your body's natural wisdom, an intelligence that knows exactly what needs to happen for safe dimensional travel. The weight on your chest is another commonly reported symptom that terrifies people, because it genuinely feels like something heavy is sitting on you or pressing down on your chest, making it difficult to breathe. But this sensation has a spiritual explanation that makes perfect sense once you understand the energetics involved. Your chest houses your heart chakra, one of the most important energetic centers in your body. During sleep paralysis, there's often intense energetic activity in this area as your consciousness prepares to expand or as spiritual guides work on clearing blockages in your energy field. That pressure you feel isn't an entity attacking you. It's energy moving, shifting, and sometimes even entering your system as downloads of information or healing frequencies. Dolores Cannon's research showed that spiritual guides often do energetic work on people during these threshold states, and the heart chakra is a primary access point for this work. The sensation of pressure or weight is simply your physical body's interpretation of intense energetic activity, and it's not accustomed to processing. Your breathing feels restricted, not because something is suffocating you, but because your respiratory rhythm is shifting into a pattern that facilitates altered states of consciousness. The vibrations are perhaps the most significant symptom from a spiritual perspective, though not everyone experiences them. Many people report feeling electrical sensations, buzzing, or intense vibrations running through their entire body during sleep paralysis. These vibrations are actually the frequency signature of your energy body, separating from or reintegrating with your physical body. Experienced practitioners of astral projection recognize these vibrations as a sign that they're about to have an out-of-body experience. And instead of fighting them, they relax into them and use them as a launching mechanism for conscious astral travel. The vibrations represent a shift in your energetic frequency. Your physical body operates at a certain vibrational rate, and your energy body operates at a much higher, faster frequency. During sleep paralysis, you're becoming conscious of the moment when these two frequencies are separating or coming back together, and that creates the sensation of vibration or buzzing. It's not dangerous. It's not a sign of something wrong. It's actually a sign that you're on the verge of accessing expanded states of consciousness and dimensional travel. Some people experience auditory hallucinations during sleep paralysis, hearing strange sounds, voices, buzzing, ringing, or even music. These aren't hallucinations in the pathological sense. You're hearing actual sounds from other dimensions or frequencies that your physical ears normally can't detect. During sleep paralysis, when the veil between dimensions becomes thin, your extrasensory perception activates and you can pick up on sounds. voices, and frequencies that exist beyond the normal audible spectrum. Dolores Cannon documented many cases of people hearing guidance, messages, or even celestial music during these altered states. The sensation of floating, rising, or sinking is directly related to astral projection and out-of-body experiences. When you feel like you're floating up toward the ceiling or sinking through your bed, that's because your energy body is literally doing exactly that. It's separating from your physical form and moving in ways that defy physical gravity and spatial limitations. This is one of the most reliable indicators that you're on the threshold of a full out-of-body experience. And if you can relax into it instead of fighting it, you might find yourself fully conscious outside your physical body, free to explore other dimensions. Many people report feeling touched, grabbed, or even pulled during sleep paralysis. These sensations can be deeply unsettling, but they usually have benign explanations. Sometimes spiritual guides are working on your energy field, and you're interpreting their energetic touch as physical sensation. Other times, you're feeling your own energy body moving or separating, and your physical sensors are trying to make sense of sensations they're not designed to interpret. Occasionally, these sensations might be attempts by guides to help you fully separate from your body for astral travel, essentially assisting with the exit process. The perception of shadowy figures or entities in the room ties back to what we discussed about spiritual beings and guides being present. But the visual aspect deserves attention here, because what you're seeing during sleep paralysis isn't being processed through your physical eyes. Your physical eyes are typically closed or not fully functional during these episodes. You're seeing with your third eye, your spiritual vision, and that's why the images often seem strange, shadowy, or ethereal. You're perceiving beings and energies as they actually exist in their dimensional frequency, not filtered through physical light and normal vision. Temperature changes are another symptom some people experience, feeling suddenly very cold or experiencing cold spots in the room. From a spiritual perspective, temperature shifts indicate energetic activity and the presence of beings from other dimensions. When spirits or guides draw near, they often create temperature changes because they're manipulating energy in ways that affect the physical environment. Cold doesn't necessarily mean negative presence. It simply means there's significant energetic activity happening around you. Dolores Cannon taught that all of these symptoms, no matter how frightening they seem, are actually signs of spiritual awakening and consciousness expansion. Your body is adapting to new frequencies. Your perception is opening to include dimensions beyond the physical, and you're developing abilities that most people never consciously access. The discomfort you feel isn't because something is wrong. It's because something is profoundly right, but unfamiliar. You're growing, expanding, and evolving, and growth always comes with some discomfort as you stretch beyond your previous limitations. Understanding the spiritual meaning behind these symptoms helps dissolve fear and allows you to work with the experiences rather than against them. When you feel the paralysis, instead of fighting it, you can relax and recognize it as protection. When you feel the chest pressure, you can acknowledge that energetic work is happening and mentally give permission for healing. When you feel the vibrations, you can see them as an opportunity for astral projection and consciously choose to ride them into expanded states of awareness. Up next, you'll discover how sleep paralysis directly connects to astral projection and out-of-body experiences, and how you can use these episodes as a launching point for conscious exploration of other dimensions. Sleep paralysis and astral projection are so intimately connected that many experienced astral travelers intentionally induce sleep paralysis as their preferred method for leaving their physical body. If you've been experiencing sleep paralysis, you're already standing at the threshold of one of the most profound abilities human consciousness possesses: the ability to consciously travel outside your physical form and explore dimensions that most people only access unconsciously during dreams. Out-of-body experiences aren't science fiction or New Age fantasy. They're documented across every culture and time period in human history. Shamans, mystics, yogis, and spiritual practitioners have been consciously leaving their bodies for thousands of years, accessing information and experiences that simply aren't available when consciousness is locked inside physical form. Dolores Cannon's research confirmed that we all leave our bodies every single night during sleep. The only difference is that most people do it unconsciously, while sleep paralysis gives you the opportunity to do it consciously. Astral projection occurs when your consciousness, housed in your energy body or astral body, separates from your physical form and travels freely through other dimensions. During sleep paralysis, this separation process has already begun. Your physical body is immobilized, your consciousness is alert, and your energy body is loosening its connection to your physical form. You're literally in the perfect position to achieve full separation and experience conscious astral travel. The vibrations, buzzing sensations, and feelings of floating that we discussed earlier are the clearest indicators that astral projection is imminent. When you feel these sensations during sleep paralysis, you're at a critical choice point. Most people panic and fight to wake up fully, snapping their consciousness back into their body and ending the experience. But if you can relax, stay calm, and mentally affirm your intention to separate, you can ride those vibrations right out of your physical body into full conscious astral projection. Dolores Cannon discovered through her regression work that many people have spontaneous out-of-body experiences during sleep paralysis without even realizing it. They might remember floating above their body, seeing their room from an unusual perspective, or finding themselves in strange locations. But they dismiss these memories as weird dreams rather than recognizing them as actual astral travel. The line between dreams and astral projection is thinner than most people realize, and sleep paralysis is one of the bridges between these states. Once you achieve separation and find yourself outside your physical body, the possibilities are literally limitless. You can travel anywhere on Earth instantaneously just by thinking about your destination. You can visit other dimensions and planes of existence. You can communicate with spiritual guides, deceased loved ones, and other consciousness explorers who are also traveling in the astral planes. You can access the Akashic records and gain information about your past lives and soul's journey. You can receive healing, download wisdom, and experience states of bliss and unity that transcend anything available in physical reality. The beauty of using sleep paralysis as a launching point for astral projection is that the hard part is already done for you. When people try to induce out-of-body experiences through meditation or other techniques, they often struggle to achieve the right state of consciousness and the necessary physical relaxation. But sleep paralysis naturally creates both conditions. Your body is already deeply relaxed and immobilized, and your consciousness is already in that liminal threshold state. All you need to do is guide the process toward full separation, rather than snapping back to normal waking consciousness. There are techniques you can use during sleep paralysis to facilitate astral projection. One method is to focus on the sensation of lightness and mentally affirm that you're becoming lighter and lighter, floating upward. Another technique involves visualizing a rope hanging above you and mentally pulling yourself up hand over hand, using the rope to draw your consciousness out of your body. Some people find success by simply commanding themselves to roll out of their body to the side, like rolling off a bed. Different techniques work for different people, so experimentation is valuable. Consciousness expansion through astral projection fundamentally changes how you understand reality and your own nature. When you consciously experience yourself existing outside your physical body, when you can see your body lying in bed from an external perspective, it shatters the illusion that you are your body. You realize viscerally and undeniably that you're consciousness first, a spiritual being temporarily inhabiting physical form, not a physical being who somehow generates consciousness. This realization is life-changing and forms the foundation of genuine spiritual awakening. Many people who regularly practice astral projection report that their nighttime fears around sleep paralysis completely dissolved once they learned to use it as a doorway to out-of-body experiences. What was once terrifying became exciting and eagerly anticipated. They started looking forward to sleep paralysis episodes because they knew each one was an opportunity for adventure, exploration, and spiritual growth. This transformation from fear to enthusiasm is available to anyone willing to shift their perspective and learn the techniques. Dolores Cannon also documented cases of people encountering extraterrestrial contact during astral projection. Some individuals reported being taken aboard ships or to other locations where they received information, underwent healing procedures, or participated in some form of cosmic education. These experiences, which we'll explore more in the next section, often begin during sleep paralysis and continue as full out-of-body experiences, where the person's consciousness travels to locations far beyond Earth. Following this exploration, we'll delve into the fascinating and controversial topic of spiritual abduction and extraterrestrial contact experiences that many people report during sleep paralysis. Now we're entering territory that many people find controversial or hard to believe. But Dolores Cannon's decades of research uncovered something remarkable. Countless individuals around the world report experiencing extraterrestrial contact during episodes that begin with sleep paralysis. These aren't random fantasies or culturally induced hallucinations. The consistency of these reports across different backgrounds, cultures, and time periods suggests something genuine is happening, something that challenges our understanding of reality and our place in the cosmos. Spiritual abduction experiences often begin exactly like typical sleep paralysis episodes. You wake up unable to move, sensing a presence in your room, feeling unusual sensations in your body. But then the experience evolves into something more complex. People report seeing beings of light, encountering entities with large eyes and unusual physical features, or finding themselves transported to locations that seem like spacecraft or other dimensional environments. Dolores Cannon documented thousands of these cases through her hypnotherapy work, and she came to believe that many of these experiences are genuine contacts with non-human intelligences. What makes these experiences spiritual abduction rather than the frightening alien abduction? Scenarios portrayed in popular culture is the nature and purpose of the contact. According to Dolores Cannon's research, these beings aren't hostile invaders. They're often highly evolved spiritual entities from other star systems who are assisting humanity's consciousness expansion and spiritual awakening. They use the threshold state of sleep paralysis to make contact because during that state, the person's consciousness is already shifted into frequencies where communication becomes possible. The beings encountered during these experiences often perform what seems like medical procedures. But Dolores Cannon discovered that these aren't physical examinations in the way we understand them. They're energetic adjustments, DNA activations, and consciousness upgrades designed to prepare individuals for the accelerating shift in human awareness that's happening on Earth right now. The beings are essentially helping to upgrade humanity's operating system, preparing us to access higher levels of consciousness and spiritual abilities that have been dormant within us. Many people who've had extraterrestrial contact during sleep paralysis report receiving downloads of information, cosmic knowledge about the nature of reality, the history of humanity, and the future evolution of consciousness on Earth. Some remember being shown images of Earth's future, being taught about energy healing, or receiving activation of psychic abilities. Dolores Cannon found that these individuals often became healers, teachers, or wayshowers after their contact experiences, using the information and abilities they received to help others awaken. The connection between sleep paralysis and extraterrestrial contact makes sense when you understand that these beings exist at vibrational frequencies beyond normal physical perception. They can't just knock on your door and introduce themselves because they exist in dimensions that our physical senses can't detect. But during sleep paralysis, When your consciousness has shifted into that threshold state between dimensions, contact becomes possible. You're vibrating at a frequency where you can finally perceive their presence and receive their communication. Dolores Cannon also discovered that many people have ongoing relationships with these extraterrestrial beings that span multiple lifetimes. Some individuals are what she called volunteers, souls who incarnated on Earth specifically to help with humanity's spiritual awakening. And these beings are their cosmic family checking in, providing support, and sometimes taking them to other locations for training and information exchange. The sleep paralysis state provides a convenient doorway for these ongoing connections. Not everyone who experiences sleep paralysis will have extraterrestrial contact, and that's perfectly okay. These experiences happen to those whose soul contracts include this type of interaction, those who are ready for it vibrationally, and those whose life purpose involves bridging human and extraterrestrial consciousness. If you haven't had these experiences, it doesn't mean you're less spiritually advanced. It simply means your soul's journey involves different experiences and lessons. Sleep paralysis isn't your enemy. It's your invitation to remember who you truly are beyond this physical body, beyond this single lifetime, beyond the limited consciousness that society has conditioned you to accept as the only reality. Every episode is an opportunity for spiritual awakening, for consciousness expansion, for stepping into your multidimensional nature and claiming the spiritual abilities that have always been yours. The journey from fear to understanding, from terror to curiosity, from resistance to embrace. This is the path of transformation that sleep paralysis offers you. Dolores Cannon dedicated her life to helping people understand that these supernatural phenomena aren't punishments or curses. They're gifts, doorways, and initiations into deeper levels of spiritual truth and power. So the next time you find yourself frozen between sleep and waking, remember everything you've learned here. Remember that you're safe, that you're protected, that spiritual guides surround you. Remember that your body's immobilization is protection, not imprisonment. Remember that the presence you feel might be a loving guide waiting to communicate. Remember that the vibrations coursing through you are the signature of consciousness expanding beyond physical limitations. If this message resonated with your soul, if you felt something shift inside you while listening, I need you to do something important right now. Comment below with the words, "I am awakening," so we can create a community of conscious beings who refuse to live in fear of their own spiritual experiences. Your comment isn't just words, it's an affirmation, a declaration that you're ready to embrace your multidimensional nature. And please, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because we're going deeper into these mysteries, exploring past lives, lucid dreams, and the profound teachings that mainstream society doesn't want you to discover. This community needs you. Your journey matters. Your awakening matters.